showdown. Everybody know now what verse they on now. What's going down now? Stay away, away from downtown. Everybody know now. Nuclear showdown. Everybody know now what verse they on now. What's going down now? Stay away.
Israel-Hamas war tipped to spark nuclear showdown as Iran on crash course to the big bomb. There is, of course, a lot of events that we just covered over on our Marfoogle News short. So if you haven't gone over and watched that, of course, that is more focused on this issue. And of course, we're going to cover kind of the basics here, but we're also going to go over everything else that is happening right now. It says that the Israel-Hamas conflict could spark a nuclear war if Iran races to build the big one. It says a former Defense Intelligence Agency officer has warned. The terrifying warning comes after Israel prepares to mount a ground invasion of the Strip in response to the atrocities on October 7th that left at least 1,400 perished. It said Israeli strike in the besieged enclave have killed roughly 2,800 of the locals in the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, with another 1,200 people believed to be buried under the rubble, alive or not. It says health authorities said. The campaign of strikes has sparked saber-rattling from Iran, with fears of a new front could soon open on the Lebanon-Israel border if Hezbollah, an Iranian-backed terrorist group, gets involved. All this volatility is raising the specter of, quote, nuclear war. Now, there's wars and rumors of wars at all times. Many people, of course, consider this saber-rattling, and they consider it this or that. We mainly look at the big picture. Where is this actually headed? I have said many times I don't believe that there will be an all-out nuclear conflict, the end of the world. I believe that if there was something nuclear, it would be a single event that would start off a conventional conflict that would make tons and tons of trillions of dollars for all of the military-industrial complex. Power would be restructured. We would have a new leader, a new person or a country running the show, and all of this would be almost as scripted as a show. But again, we're going to talk about that and everything else that's happening tonight on Marfoogle TV. We'll be right back, and then at the end of the show tonight, we'll do a little house cleaning. I did want to make some comments about some things, so stick around till the end. I think it'll be worth it. And thank you guys. Well, be safe, be prepared, and we'll be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
What's going down now? Stay away, away from downtown. Everybody know now. Nuclear showdown. Everybody know now. What verse they on now? What's going down now? Stay away, away from downtown.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We are going to talk about a variety of things tonight, and of course, at the very end, we'll have a heart-to-heart with chat, and of course, we'll talk about some of the things that are going on and some of the things we think that are going to happen. First of all, just want to remind you, we do a lot of work before each and every show. Now we are doing kind of 2 full shows a day, an update on Is and then an update on the world. So if you want to find a bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document on our website, again, it is not a big team that does this. It is myself and Dex, and then our wonderful team of mods that keep the chat and, of course, everybody happy and make sure to direct people to the right place. So make sure to go over and check it out. MarfoogleNews.com. New nuclear showdown. Japan is drafting what? And once you click on that, you'll find a full source list for everything that we have collected. This happens every single day. Plus, there's a whole lot more on the overflow. That is all stuff that is going to be talked about at the very end, so make sure to stick around. Let's bring in my co/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So remember as well, if you have questions, ask the mods. There's a great group of mods right down below. Most of them have been with me for years. Again, make sure to go check them out over at marfooglenews.com/friends. Great people down there. And then also we have all of our friends in the creators section. These are all creators that we know on and off camera are awesome people, are doing something for the community, or just genuine people. So again, these I don't put anybody on there that I have not talked to off camera. That's some sort of fake person that puts on a front. All right, and then Gaza hospital explosion. Protests erupt across the Middle East. Now, when we say they erupt, that is no joke. There were 2 embassies that were stormed in the last 48 hours, and they were big deals. They had hundreds of thousands involved, if not millions. It was crazy. Some said that there were as much as 1 million people outside of one of these embassies. Pretty insane. Protesters staged an anti-Israel rally around the Middle East on Wednesday, some of them turning violent to voice rage at an explosion that took lives of hundreds of people in the Strip hospital in the deadliest incident inside the Strip during the Israel-Hamas conflict. It says Israel forces took down 2 Palestinian teenagers near Ramallah in the West Bank during protests against Tuesday's blast of Al-Hali al-Harabi Hospital in Gaza City. And of course, they are no longer breathing. So they are saying that IDF took the lives of those 2 teenagers. The 2 sides have been blamed each other for the explosion, though. Now, we've talked about this over on the other show. Now they're saying that there's proof that the proof is essentially saying like, hey, look at our normal explosions are this big. This looks different. That is their proof. Alongside, they have wiretapped audio that essentially has the other side in the Strip saying, oh, well, what's funny is this is actually us. And what's sad is we just realized that this was our stuff. And, oh, gosh darn, we did it to ourselves. Many are calling it very convenient. Many are saying that it may be somehow they have made it or something. I'm not saying that, but what I will say is that is what is being called out on Twitter by Twitter users. And, of course, as we know, Twitter users are always right. Just kidding. But honestly, there's a lot of strange things happening right now, but the big picture of this all is that it is going downhill, and it is not going any slower today. Every day there has been a huge move forward. Let's go over to Dex. Dex, do you want to cover the President JB's administration unveils sanctions on Hamas financing and Iran's missile programs?
Yeah, so this is, I wonder how much this really matters, but, from at least a talking point, it's something that he can say coming out of this meeting. And the fact that he flew all the way over and met with Israel, as well as was supposed to meet with the leaders of the opposition there in Jordan, but they canceled. But coming out of that, or as part of that, he announced that they are sanctioning basically 1,000 entities and individuals that I ran to the store uses to support these different groups, the groups in the Strip and the groups up in Lebanon and others that they support that do the types of actions that you would expect to see happen in an escalation against is. So these sanctions, I guess, are financial sanctions. They're going to prevent them from being able to distribute funds or, transfer money or do other types of transactions. So presumably it may stop some of the movement of the money to these groups. At least that's the notion. But ultimately, we all know that, where there's a will, there's a way. There's like 90 ways to Sunday to figure out how to work around any of these when it comes to transferring and moving money illegally in this part of the world. So I don't know that it really has much more than just an appearance, but it certainly, I'm sure to the thousands of individuals that are going to be, or entities, but and also individuals that are going to be hampered by this, some of them may be, legitimate or do other things on the side that are significant or have significant presences that may, cause them individually to feel some pain. And that could hurt them as well. So there could be some backlash, but I can't imagine it's enough to really make a difference.
And by the way, before I do want to remind people, thank you everybody that it's just being awesome and that you guys, there's just all sorts of love going back and forth in chat. Thank you guys. Whatever, forever. Nice to see you, Darren Schrader. We usually do a small roll call, by the way, with everything that's going on right now, especially with what we just talked about over on news about them asking now. JB is asking for $100 billion. And how we broke it down on the other video, which many of you watched, but there are people that don't watch that, is that they're asking for $100 billion for not only is Israel, they are asking that for UKR. They're bunching it together, and they're adding Taiwan into that. Now, Israel asked for $10 billion, and even if they double that and give them $20 billion, folks are asking, what is the other $80 billion for? Well, not too many people are publicly shouting in the streets for UKR to get support right now because it hasn't been going well. They don't have too many victories, and honestly, people are kind of tired of hearing about it. And they're tired of hearing about it because mainstream media is even just like not talking about it, and they have changed over to this, which is the hot topic, mind you. But as far as Taiwan, even less is being said, but yet we just bunched in $80 billion on top of this event for UKR and Taiwan, and they're bunching them into all three into the same kind of category, this huge chunk of money devoted to these three places. Now, Taiwan is the most concerning because that's a war with China involved, China and Taiwan. UKR and Russia, obviously the concern has already been there. We've all been watching this for almost 2 years, and we know that's a big deal because it's a proxy between us and between UKR and directly with Russia. So we are directly funding and directly putting infrastructure in their hands that takes the direct lives of Russia. Instead of like Russia supporting a party and we support a party and they're going at it, this is a direct conflict with Russia, and they feel that they should be retaliating against us, or at least a lot of Russians do, and a lot of their TV does. Now at Taiwan, this being bunched into this is a big deal. What is happening right now is I feel like they know that Taiwan is about to pop off, and they're doing the preemptive thing and just kind of throwing it right under the carpet with what is happening and is. Well, why would they be bunched in together? Well, if you consider Iran and Vlad are friends, Iran and Xi are friends, and they're part of this axis of evil, this is all being set up and quite grandiosely put up on the pedestal right now, and people are still not seeing that this is going to be a world war. They are now, Vlad is going to be meeting with Xi. They're no limits partners. So what does this mean? Well, I think it means that Taiwan is about to pop off, and very soon. As I was told, in the next year, things would look completely different, and now that's 4 months ago. So in the next 8 months, according to who I believe timeline is correct, this whole world is going to look different. And after I said that, we of course had the IS event going on. We have all of this happening, and it seems like this is a fast track right into a conflict. Majority of people are totally unaware of what's actually going on. They might see the highlights on CNN, or they might see something put on, but the majority of the people are not following as closely as you are. I know you are all following closely. So what I might be saying might be redundant to what you think. But right now, we all have to look at the bigger picture, and we have to start getting ready. That is my opinion. And again, it's just my opinion. I would love to hear from some of you guys. Thank you. Thank you for everybody that's coming here. And a lot of you are from America, but we have people from all over the world. So let's do a quick roll call, and we'll move on to the next. Michael X, WW3. Let's hear Matt Hansen. I think we are heading into the new dark ages. Matt Hansen, what's crazy is people are calling for it. People are so fed up with technology and things that people are actually calling for it. Look, it is pretty crazy to see what technology has done to this next generation. And Central Washington, Sparky69, thank you. we've got South Carolina, loves cleaving. Thank you. Let's see here. We've got Michelle from, what was that? I didn't see that. Sorry. Nellie's Farm from Alabama. We've got a couple Seattles here, Central Louisiana. Ireland, Nacho Man, Randy Sandwich. You always make my day. On the darkest of days, if I see that screen name, Nacho Man, Randy Sandwich. It just makes me laugh. Thank you. Justin VA, See Heart Think. Let's see here. Kristen Bell from Babel. I don't, for some reason I thought that was like a satire, but is there a Babel? I feel like that's in Texas. Las Vegas, Tito Randy. I know about the biblical Babel, but Sharon C. from Virginia, North Queensland, Australia here. Hey, we got some Australia here. We got Europe. We've got Finland, Iowa here. What's happening? Texas League, Sean. Kyle, thank you for being here. Muleshoe, Texas. And then Lorraine, Ohio, Mama Wolf Callahan. Give you the good old OH. All right, let's get started. So we also have these tanks that are appearing with a cope cage. Now, I found this interesting. This is actually what is on the thumbnail. If you look in the left-hand corner, and all of the tanks back there are supposed to have it, but I don't think they showed it as they had it, but I don't think they do. The cope cage is actually down here. Let me show you. There's a better picture in this article. But they're saying this is to defend against drones. They're saying the other problem, though, is in an emergency or if the tank gets flipped or something, that it would make it harder for the guy to get out. But these are some pretty insanely outfitted tanks here. They look like they are all fully camoed up, but this is what they're talking about. This cope cage is this thing at the very top, and this isn't for Reaper drones or for missiles. This is for the small improvised drones that would come down and hit this. Now, from what I have heard from a currently serving military member, is that the drones will come straight down. They will put it above it, and sometimes they will even turn it off to where it drops silently, because if they have the motors going, that it will actually alert them and they can take it down in midair. They have some systems in some camps that can actually take it down right away. But if they turn it off right above and they'll line it up perfectly, it will drop down on the hatch and it will explode, possibly even melt the hatch and harm the people inside. If the hatch is open, if there's somebody standing outside of it, then yeah, you could see how that could do some damage. If they get them high enough to where they can't hear them, because they are very quiet already, and then drop them silently, it's kind of crazy what they can do with these things. But these small drones, this thing would essentially, it would hit and either take the blast or it would bounce off. Simple idea, but it is, it's quite a good system to do that. The unfortunate part is if the tank flips, then it's harder to get out. Now they're saying that, of course, this is going to be something that is going to be in almost all wars with tanks, not just UKR. That's where it started. And it's kind of crazy to see that this stuff is changing now, because before this conflict with UKR, we talked about all of the developing technology. We actually talked about the drone technology at some of the shows. And this was like 2018, 2017 when I started talking about this. And this is before we really saw drones being used. We saw it in the movies a couple times, and it was in spy movies and things. And but we really didn't see too much real public use of these drones being used in this way. Now drones have been used to try to take out leaders. I forget which leader. I feel like it was Maduro that almost got taken out by a drone. But they can take it. They can basically be a assassination attempt with these things. We've seen many of them now, and they can take out bigger, even tanks now, because the drone technology has come forward. But in 2017, 2018, obviously all of us were looking at this and going, man, the next war is going to be bonkers. Now they have these drones that they can pilot and essentially smash into almost anything and everyone. What scares me is the next generation of this, like China. China has a full-on drone carrier, and this carrier can be run autonomously. So if every person on board got taken out, they can run this thing without a staff, without a crew. It's not as big as a traditional carrier, but it's a big ship. And this thing can actually launch, drones. It can launch hundreds, if not thousands of drones off of it. And it can autonomously go up to any port. This thing can basically go on its own, which is really insane. It is one of the first of its kind. Something like that pulls up to some, LA or something. Say for some reason it was able to get up close, it could launch out thousands of drones that would hit specific targets. And now they're teaming it up with AI, facial recognition, and of course maps. They can hit any location in the world. As the drone technology gets further and further, imagine the stuff that goes in the military industrial complex also then filters through to T attacks. Imagine if they got their hands on something like one of these missile-like machines that can launch drones that are also paired with AI, facial recognition, or in general could spot out humans, and somebody, say a bad guy got this and launched it in a major city. They could take out city blocks with this thing. The amount of explosives they can put on it and how much weight that these things can hold now has gone up and up and up to where a very small drone can actually carry a ton of weight. And when you're talking about explosives, a very small package could take out, half a city block. So it's pretty nuts to think that whatever's going on here, we will eventually see bad guys get on the black market. And they're already getting it on the black market. Dex, as far as, do you want to cover the drone attack on base hosting U.S. troops?
Well, yeah. So, speaking of drones, different types, but this is one coming from in Iraq, of all places. And we haven't talked a lot about them lately, but now things are starting to heat up there. So apparently 2 drones launched at a base that was hosting U.S. troops. It was in the western portion of the country. We did intercept it, the defense official said. But the point being is things are starting to heat up more. We used to hear about something here in this country maybe once or twice a year. It wasn't all that often. Every now and then somebody might, put a rocket in or do something. We've had a few small areas around bases. Occasionally somebody was injured or even worse, but it wasn't all the time. But given the tensions that have built up, especially with the country that is supporting these resistant groups in in Iraq, it's being backed by the neighbor there, Iran, to the store. So that country, which is backing both the group in the Strip and is backing the groups up in Lebanon, is also backing the ones that are doing this type of work in that country that we went in and liberated, supposedly. But anyway, we're there. We have presence there. We did take it down. But the point is, this action is heating up. So if we're starting to see that, these are all these different points in which the I country is really getting engaged against the U.S. And this could quickly ramp up, as we keep saying. And we're watching this literally by the hour to see what is changing. And this is one of the many things.
And at first when I saw this, I was kind of alarmed because one of our friends is actually deployed in Iraq. And again, many people don't even know that there was just a big deployment to Iraq. And even, folks wondering, why is there even a bigger presence now and why are more deploying? And most of these deployments happened weeks before this surprise. So I just, and it says no injuries were reported. So if you have family or friends that are serving, they say that this thing did not end badly. So that's a very good thing. Others have, and in the past. So if you just had somebody deploy there, sounds like this did not have any casualties. All right, before we move on, just a quick reminder, make sure to go over to check out marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is a device that can protect your cars, your trucks, your motorcycles, and all other devices against an EMP or a CME from the sun. Not only that, the house version can actually protect your home, and everything wired in within 250 linear feet of it will actually be protected against those as well, on top of lightning strikes. Again, if you are looking, now I don't know what happened something in the last couple hours happened, and somebody was trying to get I believe it was an EMP shield for an Energy Flex 1500. You may have to go through EMP shield itself, but we're going to check on that. And again, a lot of these things are going really crazy in the sales department. So it's not, obviously these are sold all over. Again, this is now a much larger company than what we started with. So they have government contracts. There's a lot of things pulling. It kind of makes you think, like, I wonder how much of this is going to agencies and things like that. So if they are out of anything, please email us or let us know, and we will try to help you locate one of these. At one point, we didn't even know if they were going to continue selling to civilians because they did get such huge contracts. They've worked with agencies like DHS, DOD, and the DEMSO team. But the actual company that runs this, it was started by preppers like us. In fact, a lot of people, you guys know Andrew. He actually was, he had a prepper survival YouTube channel before he started doing all of this. The group of people that do this are in our community. They literally are people just like us. And now this company that was started small, making them by hand in Kansas, they're still making them by hand. But now with all of these crazy, crazy orders, they have expanded multiple times. So that should tell you something if they're starting to run out of certain ones. The one in question that I believe Energy is out of is the one that protects the Energy Flex 1500. So, but if any of these go out of stock, let us know and we can try to figure out how to help. But again, that is also an issue with supply chains and everything else that's going on right now. So if you already have one, then great. If you don't, this will allow you to get home to bug in or get out to bug out. It grounds the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second. All right, and then let's see here. U.S. military open to drafting contingency plans with Japan. I was told to watch Japan, and I believe that this person was right. One thing after another keeps coming, and after I said that, there were so many moves that kept taking place. Now they have changed their constitution, so they are going to be an offensive country. Shinzo Abe, within weeks of me saying, watch Japan, all of a sudden Shinzo Abe got taken out, and then the constitution changed, and all of these different things are happening. Now they're developing an Asian NATO with South Korea and Japan. Not to mention all of the smaller events going on with Japan and the islands that Taiwan and everybody else is arguing over in the Philippines. And now it says the American military is willing to discuss with Japan and South Korea forming trilateral operational plans for contingencies involving North Korea and China. Now that's also bunching in North Korea. We've been talking about how all of a sudden they're bunching in Taiwan, Israel, and UKR together in this budget. But they're also, with this agreement, they're also going to be bunching in North Korea. There's, of course, the North Korea and South Korea, this whole drama that's been going on at the same time, too. All of these countries have been doing tit for tats back and forth this whole time. What we saw with Israel is the tit for tats now just turned into a full-blown war. UKR and Russia, the tit for tats that were going on their borders and their back and forth and their annexation and all of this turned into a full-fledged war. The pattern shows that Taiwan and China are going to turn into a full-fledged war, that South Korea and North Korea is going to turn into a full-fledged war. And they are now making sides. They're now calling it the axis of evil, and it's like we're going back in time to 2002. It's insane. It says U.S. forces face simultaneous challenges on multiple fronts, and we keep hearing this. Just 2 nights ago, we covered a story that said that the U.S. and think tanks are saying that the U.S. is looking at simultaneous front lines, 2 war fronts at the same time. This is what we have said for years. This is the scenario that we've been warning about for literally years. Dex, this is like, it's one step further confirming everything that our community has thought.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think, and there's more to the article, and unfortunately it didn't show up on our screen when we formatted this. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way, but the General Anthony Cotton also was basically trying to say, like, we have to have, and we think that there's great value in having a trilateral contingency plan with both Tokyo and Seoul against specifically NK provocations, as well as I think the assumption there is clear that it's also about China and what they would do. It said it, he also said China as well, but this whole notion of we've said watch Japan, pay attention to Japan, everything that has changed over the years with Japan, and the fact that the tensions have even risen at a greater level between both China and Japan, which have always been there, but even Russia and Japan, specifically over contested islands and locations there as well. So, um, you know, the fronts or the alliances are becoming very clear. Like if you're either on one side or you're on the other. There's not three sides. It doesn't seem to be very many Switzerlands around anymore. There's just the Swiss. That's it. Everybody else is, or the Swisses. Everybody else is sort of picking a side right at this point, and it's pretty clear who's on which side.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the BRICS expansion that's going on, all of that. They are obviously going to have military alliances, and they are making them. All the leaders of what they are calling the axis of evil are all meeting right now. Vlad is meeting Xi this week. When is that meeting, by the way? Is it? I know that it's. I thought it was kind of coincidental that
It just happened.
so it just happened the same time JB is meeting with all of these leaders in the Middle East. I mean, people really think this is all a coincidence? Something bigger is happening. And we all know it, but we can't put our thumb on exactly what. And then MI5 head warns of epic scale of Chinese espionage. And you wonder what they mean by epic scale. Now, it's coming from MI5, so we don't know. I mean, this is, the equivalent of CIA, so you never know. Like, if our CIA head said this, everybody would be scratching their head going, well, it is CIA, so we don't know if this is some sort of 4D chess or something. So I would take everything with a grain of salt. But, and I don't just try to agree with stuff that goes along with all the thoughts I already have. But I will tell you, I'm prone to believe that this is true because I have been following the Chinese situation, and I think that it's a lot worse than what they say. I think solar winds and all of these events, and even what's going on with Russia, that a lot of this ties back to China. And China gets to come in and, play America and say, oh, we've got a peace plan for you. All of these events are happening, keep tying back to China. Not to mention, say that the head of Microsoft, Mr. Gilly, who has stepped down, mind you, one of the only persons, our president didn't even go and meet with Xi and have dinner with him. Former presidents didn't go meet with him. Some of the most high-ranking officials that have went there did not go to dinner. Who does? Mr. Gilly does. Mr. Bates, right? And the same gentleman who ran Microsoft forever. All of a sudden, in the last 3 months, we have covered how many Microsoft-related events, which Microsoft is saying publicly, oh, this goes back to China. And they've hacked this, they've hacked that. And it's like, and now they're saying that there's an epic scale of Chinese espionage. More than 20,000 people in the UK have now been approached covertly online by Chinese spies, the head of MI5 said. It comes amid a new warning to tens of thousands of British businesses of the risk of having their innovations stolen. It says Ken McCallum was speaking to the BBC at unprecedented public appearance at the security chiefs of the Five Eyes Alliance in California. It says the heads of U.S., UK, Australia, Canadian, and New Zealand security agencies appeared together. It says they did so for the first time to warn commercial secrets are being obtained by China. Stanford University in California was chosen as the venue for the first public meeting because of it lies in the heart of the Silicon Valley. In both public statements as a closed session with entrepreneurs and investors, security chiefs warned that cutting-edge research is being stolen. We have seen a sustained campaign on a pretty epic scale. says if you're working today at the cutting edge of technology, then geopolitics is interested in you, even if you're not interested in geopolitics. So that some of these designs and the things that these companies that are being, the ideas that are being stolen, this is tech that could give China an advantage or give us an advantage. And if it's stolen, then the advantage goes out the window. What's this, it's still prevalent today, is that people think that China can't manufacture anything of quality. That is, I would love for that to be on Mythbusters, because that is a myth. Countries across the planet have been sending their high-tech stuff to China to be made, not because of, mostly because they could get cheap labor there. And in the process of this thing that's been going on for the last couple decades, we gave them the ability to make extremely high-quality things. And it's not like the people there are stupid. They're some of the most educated people on the planet. By statistics, they are more educated than many other countries. So you're talking about very smart, but yet still people think that, if it's made in there, it's going to fall apart. If anything that's made in China falls apart, it's done on purpose. Because on top of the cheap labor, if they make cheap, quality products, they can sell it and make more profit. That's money. And when it comes to money, there's nothing that they won't do. But when it comes to high quality stuff for their own military, they're making things that the world hasn't seen. The Pentagon has admitted that China is ahead in 37 out of 44 components, high-tech components. And you're talking about our own chief product officer from the Pentagon, who stepped down, who is now warning people, stepped down and said that China is ahead in AI. And people, since they don't understand it, really don't realize how big of a deal that is. They're starting to, but AI can do everything from weapons to drones with facial recognition, from all sorts of things, and cyber attacks done automatically. So there's a lot of things that they can do as well. I mean, we're talking about super advanced technology that most of us couldn't even follow in science class, like incredible stuff. And for whatever reason, we let them get ahead. And what the chief product officer said, I think it was chief software officer, which was a position they made for him, said that once they're ahead, it's almost impossible to catch up because you're always hitting the mark behind it. So right now, if this is somewhat true, then this will have something to do with the next conflict. Even though they're saying it's for designs for commercial things, a lot of these people that are getting that have espionage done to them, these are companies that are making advances in technology that has direct military applications. And then, Dex, do you want to talk about U.S. had over 180 risky interactions with Chinese aircraft over the last 2 years?
Yeah, so both the prior article and this article definitely have a spin on them in the sense of setting the tone against, as far as the readers go here in the Western or the States, but in the Western Alliance, if you want to call it that, against China. So they're sort of like painting these negative pictures. And I'm not saying that to say the opposite. I just want to also put that out there to think about too. When you think about why would they want us to have that opinion, we've seen it and we've talked about this. How a lot of times this stuff will come up over and over again, pushing and preparing us so that when the time is right and we have to go into a conflict, the population is on board with it and they think very badly against the opposition. So, whether it's epic scale of espionage and stealing your secrets, or in this case, as we talked about last night, there was a Chinese fighter jet that came within 15 feet, or I think it was no, it was 15 meters or something. It was super close. It was very, very close to a Canadian flight. They since put out some of the pictures, and part of that is part of this article. But really, what it's about is now they're coming out and saying, "Well, let's tell you really what's going on. You guys should really be concerned because it's been 180 of these types of interactions with Chinese aircraft over the last 2 years, according to the DoD." So they have come out and said, "Hey, we're going to give you the stats on it so that you guys can understand just how bad it really is, or you can get prepared which is sort of how I say we're reading between the lines here and understand what's coming, is getting prepared for this notion that they're going to be the enemy and they should be the enemy because we're going to be going into conflict with them. Just like we reported on the other channel, $100 billion is being set aside for conflict for both UKR and Taiwan. And there's a huge chunk that's not accounted for. And we don't know if that's going to UKR or going to Taiwan. So keep that in mind. But this, I think, as important as it is to think, okay, well, yeah, it's kind of scary up there, and our planes are running into all these issues of, you know, inappropriate flying of from the opposition, things that aren't, shouldn't be done that way. Sure, that's the issue. But the real issue is, why are they telling it this way, and why are they setting the tone for us? And I think that's what's important to pay attention to here. But certainly, some pictures, you can see how close some of these planes are to the other planes, and how quick they buzz by them. Some of them have even launched flares. I think that was the Canadian one that we talked about last night. They had launched flares as well, which we've heard of the Russians doing to our drones, and actually took a drone down over it by doing that. So obviously, you don't want this type of interaction because you're this close. It's that close to also creating a actual event that can escalate into something much greater than it would have been had they never interacted. So that's important to consider as well.
Yeah, I was surprised at that first very clear picture. Look at how that cockpit there. Look at how small. Maybe it's the lighting, but gosh, that is so. It looks very, very aerodynamic. Now, I think that is the same jet that they said looks a whole lot like ours. Mind you, they've stolen designs from us, but that is really incredible looking. And I'm sure it's probably a copy or something close to what we have. They said that they got some of our plans for jets a few years ago. Wonder if this is one of the ones. That looks insane. I think people are starting to realize, like, I don't think it should be underestimated anymore. And then, thank you. Antonio Neftali says, we are set up for the worst. Be very alert on all angles. Sup, Marf decks and families. Be good to those around you. Stay healthy and blessed. Thank you, Antonio. And thank you for supporting Independent. Samuel Turner says, China will attack Taiwan if the weather in the Taiwan Straits is suitable. China needs 5 to 7 days of good weather forecast, being it is across the channel attack. Samuel Turner, we covered an article talking about how it really needs kind of perfect conditions for them to have it really work well. But I also saw something saying that they would wait until a storm or something by surprise, but I'm thinking they don't need to, especially if the U.S. isn't there at that time. They have overwhelming power compared to Taiwan. And then when do you think that the aliens will come into play, Adam? Quintrus? Well, you know what's funny is we were talking about how the Starlink, and Jacob Israel did a video on this the other day on how they have added space lasers to the Starlink, right? Which would be kind of the same requirements for Blue Beam. You guys ever heard of that? Project Blue Beam? And it makes you wonder, right? If that's going to be a part of it. What if at the very, very peak of a conflict, all of a sudden there's this big ship that appears in our skies and they say, we all have to put our differences aside and we need to fight the greater evil, Alien X. And they'll name it X or Exions or something. And they'll all be rubbing their hands together going, blah, ha, ha, ha. And I bet you the aliens will expose us. The red dust will come down and expose us something, and we all need to get the protection against it and get it every year or every 6 months, right? Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know when aliens will come into it. I do believe there's things above us, but I don't know about the Ganda that how they've been talking about fake disclosure for all this time. Why is it being brought up? Why is all of this happening? Maybe there is something that's going to catch us off guard. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you for your support, Quintrus. And then we have, with Putin by his side, Xi outlines his vision of a new world and an order, right? The N and the W and the O. The leaders of China and Russia hailed each other as old and dear friends. They took swipes at the United States and depicted themselves as building a fairer, multipolar world. This is really alarming, and I think it's really getting to the point where all of your friends and family are going to start realizing what you've known for years. China's top leader Xi Jinping used a Beijing-led conference of leaders from mostly developing countries on Wednesday to showcase his ambitions to reshape the order of the globe. It says, as the world grapples with a conflict in UKR and a crisis in the Strip, he cast his country as an alternative to the leadership of the United States and gave a prominent role to President Vladimir Putin of Russia, underscoring how central their relationship is to the vision. The event, the Belt and Road Forum, is centered on China's signature foreign policy initiative, which aims to expand Beijing's influence abroad and with infrastructure projects. Mr. Putin was treated as the guest of honor and often pictured by Xi's side. The two leaders also met for 3 hours in Beijing on Wednesday. Now, mind you, there were closed-door meetings where they just got to talk about what's going on next. That's why I think something big is about to go down. You have JB meeting with the Middle East leaders, and you have Putin meeting with Xi at the same time. And after this meeting, all of a sudden, JB comes out and adds Taiwan and UKR to this list. So there's going to be 3 fronts. Not 2, but 3. And probably smaller fronts all over the place. Because that's what a world war looks like. Dex, as far as the meeting goes, what did you think about some of the other quotes later on?
Yeah, there's some interesting ones. So specifically, Xi did not mention anything or did not address anything specific about the events going on in the Middle East, but Putin did. He basically blamed the U.S. for increasing the tensions in the Middle East by sending our warships in the region. And he also said that regional conflicts are, quote unquote, shared threats that only strengthen Russia and China's relations. So the other quotes that were specific to Xi that were kind of interesting were, he says this specifically, ideological confrontations, geopolitical rivalry, and bloc politics are not a choice for us. He said in the speech. He also said, what we stand against are unilateral sanctions, economic coercion, and decoupling and supply chain disruption. So he's basically digging at the United States and what we've been doing with the sanctions, especially in the tech space around the chips that have prevented their advancement. So some strong words that have come out there from both sides or both leaders there against the U.S., which we would expect. Obviously.
And one of the other quotes, Asia and the global south in general are clearly showing that the conflict in Ukraine is not their concern and that they are more interested in doing business with Russia. Basically saying, you go do your thing. Let's do business. So, yeah. And then Putin sends jets with hypersonic missiles to patrol the Black Sea. There was already, this is from India Times, it says that Putin said that the U.S. made a mistake in supplying UKR with ATACMS to help Kiev's counteroffensive aimed at reclaiming occupied territory seized by Russia in the invasion. Russian President Vladimir Putin says that he ordered fighter jets armed with hypersonic missiles to begin round-the-clock patrols over the Black Sea, ratcheting up tensions with the U.S. in a conflict with Ukraine and the spiraling crisis in the Middle East between Is and Hamas. Says Putin told reporters in Beijing after talks Wednesday with Chinese President Xi Jinping that he ordered MiG-31 aircraft armed with Kinzhal missiles that have a range of more than 1,000 kilometers at a speed of Mach 9 to conduct permanent missions over neutral waters in the Black Sea. This is not a threat, but we will exercise visual control with weapons over what is happening in the Mediterranean Sea. As you can see, that this might be another open window for something bad to go down, or some sort of mistake, or some sort of interaction that starts things off. When you add more and more of these windows, open windows for something like this to happen, like what's already going on with China, or so they say, you have obviously more room for error. All this heating up the atmosphere against the backdrop of the conflict in the Middle East, the Kremlin leader said. So bringing that into the thread. It says Russia and China face, quote, common threats that strengthen their relations still, while China has provided diplomatic and economic support to Russia since Putin ordered the invasion, helping mitigate the effects of international sanctions. They say that basically helped him skirt around any of the sanctions, the financial stuff that went down. And it said Tuesday that the ATACMS had, quote, proved themselves, Zelensky said, after his military carried out strikes on Russian airfields in occupied Luhansk. So this is all going down as the ATACMS were used, and they said that they hit really important targets, which obviously many people said, okay, that means Russia's going to be pissed at whoever provided those ATACMS, which they said was another red line. Now, all of us, we've watched this, and many people say, oh, they've crossed red line after red line, and Vlad has not done anything. Then some others, and I believe Rip Curl said this as well the other night, regarding to something else with Putin. I think it was regarding the mutiny and why he waited to if he possibly took out what's his name, that he is ex-KGB. They are cold, calculated, and they are patient. So keep that in mind. They could be waiting for the right opportunity. If they say that we have crossed all these red lines, well, now the world has this impression, and a lot of people say, well, he's never going to do anything. He just puffs his chest. He says, this is a red line, red line, red line, red line. We've crossed all those red lines. And you better hope that you are right if you are saying, well, we assume he's just not going to do anything. He's just bluffing. Because eventually, this is a country with a cyber division, and they are no limits partner with China, which we know has a dangerous cyber division and possibly backdoors in frickin' 80% of our electronics. Not to mention control over 60% of our ports cranes. Backdoors into all sorts of things. A Dragon Day scenario. They are no limits partners, and Xi, just like they said, they don't care about the whole thing in UKR. They still want to be no limits partners. So whatever is getting built here, whatever is going by the script here, it's not getting better, people. So I get being positive, and there's positive in everything. We can be happy. We can have fun on the way there, but it really does seem like we are headed to very tumultuous times. Speaking of which, make sure to go check out Energy if you haven't already gotten your name on one of these. This is a portable, flexible, and modular and expandable solar generator that you can power. Again, so many different uses for this. Again, you can mod this. You can expand it up to 96 batteries, and it can get its power from the sun. You can charge it from your wall while we do have power and have power ready for if a storm hits and your power goes out. You can use this anywhere where you don't have an extension cord or a power source for your tools. You can use it for all sorts of day-to-day uses. I know because I do all the time. We've used it camping. We've used it putting a projector in a movie theater screen out in the middle of the woods. It was super fun. But yeah, there's all sorts of other uses for this. But at the main thing, the heart of it is if you do lose power for any kind of disaster, whether it be SHTF or just a regional storm, you will have backup power. Again, go to check out marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. And again, this is the Flex 1500. Highly recommend the folding panels because you can walk with them. You could grab them by the handles, take them and the generator. And the great part is it's either portable or you can set it up with 96 batteries, just like Legos, and make this thing a permanent solution. They also have the Flex Tactical, which is the version that was designed by the Air Force Research Laboratory and Energy. And this is the same one that's actually heading out with the Army as part of the SBIR Phase 2 contract. So when they say Army strong, they mean it. Again, that's got a 1,500-pound latch system on it. It has steel encasing instead of the aluminum casing. And, of course, it's water-resistant, dust-resistant, and built-in heaters into every batteries for extreme cold temperatures. So go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. And there is a wait for these, so you better get it in there quick. It's better to get it yesterday than tomorrow. Lithium is going up and up and up. All right, and then Dex, do you want to talk about Meta?
So here we have yet another form of, I think we would probably think of this as censorship, while the spin on it is, oh, we're trying to help unwanted comments. So basically, what's happening here is Meta has said, hey, when you make a post on the platform on Facebook, and you're in the region where the conflict is between is and the Strip, if you're making a post out of there, we're going to make it so that only people that are your friends and your followers can comment. The rest of the world can't comment on it. And when we used to show your post in a feed, we used to show a couple of the most recent comments in addition to that post to sort of let people know what's being talked about. Well, we're not going to show that anymore either. So they're basically trying to hide and prevent these conversations from happening, but they're doing it under the term of unwanted or unwelcomed, as if people are making these posts and not wanting to have other people comment, because I'm sure there are plenty of people that are just jumping into, I'm sure there's plenty of negativity that's happening on both sides. All right. But this becomes a great opportunity for someone to create a clamp, which is what they're doing. They're making a clamp down. Imagine if this happened, let's say, in East Palestine, Ohio, when the train happened. Imagine if all of a sudden those people there if Facebook came along and said, whoever makes a post here, we're not going to show the comments to everyone else. We can't let them see that. We can't let them have their posts be open to anybody else except in this region right here where it happened. So they can talk amongst themselves, but the rest of the world, you can't see it. They're also saying, hey, we're going to allow you to turn this off, but we're turning it on by default. But that just begs the question, why do it at all? And do we think that this is the type of control that these networks should have over the conversations that are created by the people on them? Certainly, I understand a person may have control over the conversation that they're creating, but to then have the platform start limiting that amongst the others that are talking, I think is it's definitely something that I think a lot of you folks probably are going to be questioning whether or not that should be happening.
I mean, we've known for years. Most of us don't have Facebooks anymore. And what's crazy is actually more of you probably have Facebooks than our younger generation. The younger generation does not use Facebook. The older generation, I've heard it a million times from everybody. Well, I use it because I can stay in contact with my high school buddies or my friends, right? That's why originally it was awesome. The heyday of Facebook was great. I mean, I have to say, like, Facebook was an addiction for most of us at one point. And I know there's a few that I never used it. I knew it was evil. I get it. But most of us fell into the trap of Facebook. And before all of these other social media platforms, it was a time trap. I mean, it would literally a whole day just scrolling through stupid posts and colored backgrounds saying like, seize the day. But now it's used by the older folks, the people that are actually on the right side of history right now. The younger folks don't use this platform. So the people that are actually saying what they believe and probably the right thing about the narrative are being silenced. As far as this goes, there's nobody to stop them. These are giants, and we're a bunch of Davids, and I wish we would all get some slings, because that's what's happening right now. We're being stomped on by Goliaths, and that's how it feels every day, does it not? It's really sad to see that it's just becoming less and less free every single day. And some of you even believe, freedom has been gone. It's the illusion of freedom. And most of us are really coming around to that, because it's really bad how much they have interjected in ideas. If you don't see it, then you're part of the system. Because obviously, if you look back in history, anytime where they have quelled dissent and quelled any dissenting ideas, that's when you get into the situation of, something ends up happening really, really bad. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, but just pay attention, folks, to this example. This is not the first time this has happened. We have these types of things happen all the time. When there is an opportunity to take away our freedoms, they will chomp at that opportunity. Whether it was the event in September that started all of the digging into our phone traffic and network traffic and everything else, or something like this where they say, oh, well, all these people are just being nasty to one another because they're taking different sides. Well, they use these as excuses to take away these freedoms. And I think that's what's important to pay attention to, that this is going to happen time and time again. And each time these opportunities come up, they just pluck a little bit more away from us.
And this sets the precedent for other social medias to do this. Do you remember when Elon said it's not about freedom of speech, it's about freedom of reach. This is a freedom of reach. Understand that that's an evil saying too. So yeah, you can say whatever you want on your corner, but they'll also put a bubble around your corner so nobody else can hear you. You're stuck in your own bubble. Freedom of reach means that you and your friends can talk about this, but no one else can see you guys talking about it. Your conversation is silent to the world. That's not freedom of speech. Because freedom of speech is being able to yell out on a street corner to all the cars driving by and people go, hey, that guy's got a point. But then you put up a brick wall so the drivers can't hear it. That's now silencing freedom of speech. And how many people are going to know that this is even something they can turn off? And if they do turn it off, what do you think happens then? They say the wrong thing and then all of a sudden they're banned or they're muted for 7 days or a month or whatever. It's absolute bull. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody over on DLive. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you. So many great people popped into DLive. Skyhouse, Michelle K, Youper Girl. Thank you so much for the diamond. Michelle K says, hi, Marf. Still fear those cluster drones. Speaking, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about too. Are you in California, by the way? California is in my mind, that is where something drone related would happen. If there was ever a bad event with drones, it'd be in California. Now that every Bang Bang owner has now been outed where their Bang Bangs are stored because of that leak, right? Think about this, a carrier with drones has every one of those addresses, goes boom and destroys it. Then you have all of the Bang Bang owners on the whole West Coast, or that huge chunk of the West Coast, gone. That's one thing that everybody goes back to is like, how would you invade America? We have more weapons than anybody. You compile a list of everybody who has those weapons, even the secret ones, because they're tapping everything, and you take those people out. There goes your problem. And yeah, there's still going to be some left, but that's not an issue. That's an issue they know about too. That's the thing. If somebody was to invade, the lights go out, you take out all the people that own weapons, and then boom, you took care of two of your problems. No organization, you sow chaos, you take out infrastructure, and you take out any defenses. The first thing you do is turn off the lights and the communications. All right. And then Maniac 730, thank you for subscribing. Frank Miller III, thank you. I believe I missed you yesterday. Thank you for the $1.49 super chat. Thank you. And thank you, Melissa Foster. Diane Brown, thank you for subscribing. And let's see here. Thank you, Kelly Z3CD. Thank you for your super thanks on the last show. Says thanks. Appreciate that. And then thank you, Diane Brown. Jimbo Talks Men's Room. Is that what it says? Let's see. I want to expand that. Jimbo Talks, thank you so much for being a member. Scuba Steve, Ian DeBow, The Remaining Remnant, thank you again. You've been around for a long time. Thank you. Fax Pirate, Mary Miles, Lord Andrew, Bobby Birch, Troy O'Brien, Bobby Sue, Carl Smith II, Dr. Nickelbucket, And Robert Arias, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Quintress, Samuel Turner. Thank you, Antonio Neftali. And Bible Talk 777 says protests prove college media have produced the NATZIs 9. Okay. Thank you, Dex. Let's go over to the web only, and then I'll finish out.
Sure, we got some crazy stuff over here, guys. So if you're not familiar with it, head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for today's show, or hit the show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you to this webpage with everything we just talked about, all the links to sources, to all of that. You're going to find a yellow bar that says overflow, and that is where the rest of the story is. Lots happening here. So let's go over it quickly. We've got the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, is going to NK to meet with leadership there as well. Assuming this is all part of the weapons transfers that we were referring to and talking about after the Kim and Putin meeting. Get this, Elon is being slammed over his new fee requirement. Yes, he is now trying to roll out a $1 a year fee if you want to use Twitter. You can, for free, be able to use it as far as reading and watching videos and subscribing and following people. But if you want to be able to reply or do anything else, he wants you to pay $1 a year. It doesn't seem that unrealistic, but some people, it's being tried in a couple of countries right now. NZ is one of them. And they're slowly rolling that out as a way to basically prevent spam bots. So if nobody can reply except people that can actually validate by paying $1 per year just to prove they're human,
So they
then
get you
that
on
should
record.
eliminate the spams. Say that again.
They also get your info and your financial info because it's the everything app, and it's going to turn into the pay your bills with it, do everything with it, and you already have your credit card on file.
If you're paying them, you could also pay through the stores like Apple or Google, and then
which they have
would,
partnerships with. So I
yeah,
guess
which they
you're
have
right. They probably
partnerships with.
already have it anyways.
Exactly. You've already given it up. Come on. But that's an interesting approach. He's talked about that for a long time, but now it's actually rolling out. So we'll see if it even makes it as far as here. I think those other countries are tests. We do have some additional updates on what's going on in the Middle East, especially around what else JB had to say about it, as well as some of the other things that have been coming from that event, like what's happening in London, and what the targeting of different locations on both sides, as well as in Germany, some fire boom booms happening specifically to synagogues there, and much more. So all of that is covered there, including some more extreme narratives, I guess, or opinion pieces as well. So that's all there. If with this Putin visit to China, there was an interesting video that was captured. So if you want to check it out, you can actually see Putin walking with the nuclear briefcase behind him. That was found, and you can see that. We've seen it before. We've shown it here before, but this was yet another opportunity to see that. So some people thought that was exciting. Japan is testing a rail gun. So again, looking at their advancing and improving on their offensive side, which they've always just been a defensive country until the last few years. There was an interesting potential hack on the CINDA's Twitter account. It wasn't really a hack. It was they had a link in their bio that sent people to Telegram so they could have a secure way to basically send anonymous or secure information back to them if you were trying to whistleblow or do something, a secure contact. But the link was messed up. They accidentally had it going to an account that didn't exist. Well, some kid realized that was the case and went and registered the Telegram account so that when people did click on the link that went to this Telegram account that didn't exist, it now existed. He didn't do it for nefarious purposes. He did it to protect them and let them know. He also said if there was a bounty that he would get if he got paid for it, he would send that money to one of the American Wounded Warrior projects. I cannot remember which one, but so nice on his part. But and I guess thanks for not cracking the CIA, but definitely showing him up as far as a mistake that was made on the platform. They tend to blame it on X, but I don't know who's to really blame. we do have all the political coverage in here, so lots of that going on. If you're curious of what's happening with the speakership that is still not resolved, that's there. Jordan failed again, as well as some stuff on migrations and the border. And guess who is back in the news with the knives? That would be Brittany. So yeah, she is now posing again with the knives. So I think there's a big book coming out that she's probably trying to get some publicity for. But anyway, that and so much more. It's all there. It's the rest of the story. There's a lot going on. So check it out. It's on marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show or hit that show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you right here.
All those people were like, free Britney. And the same people were like, put her back. Every video of her is the same dance. It's been like 3 years of just her like, she got destroyed by all of those horrible companies and all of the media labels and these people and her father and all of this stuff. It's really sad. And most people are more concerned for her general safety than anything else. Like the whole Britney Spears thing, it brings you, it like gives you a light into Hollywood and to the evils that are contained. It's like this, she's not, the thing you know why it's evil is she's not the only one. It's every young person who has grown up in Hollywood. You know it's devastating because of what it does to the kids that grow up in the limelight. All of them are absolutely warped. They end up bald and in the street screaming at people and in insane asylums. And the people that don't, by the time they're 35, they look like they're 70. I just saw, I mean, like, look at her, so she is like this, right? Her and Justin Timberlake were in the Mickey Mouse Club. I just saw a movie with Justin Timberlake. In the last couple of years, he's gotten older. And I understand they're all in their, they're a couple years older than me. But it's like, you can tell they have been through some stuff. Even like the pretty ones that you know, were considered the pretty people, they are aging very quickly. And I bet it's because of all the stuff they've been through. And you know, they've participated in some nasty stuff too. The majority of people were just concerned about, and there was so many mean comments about Britney during the whole thing. It's like, I don't think it's her fault. I think they put her in as a kid. They put her in as an innocent and took that away, along with Leonardo DiCaprio and this whole crew of kids from that age, from my age. When I was a kid, all those kids went on to be like, you know, super uber stars, and it just screws them up. And it's been that way forever in Hollywood. Any childhood star, name one. In the comments down below, put your favorite childhood star that ended up turning into somebody absolutely warped, from the Partridge Family to the Brady Bunch to, I mean, there's a million examples of it. Gary Coleman, freaking whoever it is, they always end up messed up in some way. And it's a great reason for you to comment. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Much love, brother. Great job.
And before we do a shout show, I did want to do some house cleaning. I just want to have people remember, sometimes things get crazy in chat. The mods, they have pretty simple guidelines to go by. And usually if you're muted or banned, if you're banned, usually it's something pretty egregious or it's repetitive. But just remember that they have simple rules. Don't trash other creators. Simple rule, don't trash my affiliates. My affiliates, if there is something wrong, let us know. We'll always work it out with you. We'll always try to communicate and try to figure things out. Just the other day, somebody had an issue with one of our affiliates. We were able to take care of it in less than 24 hours. But if there's something like that, of course, we are doing this on our own. We're independent. We don't have some multi-channel network to protect us. Everything that we do, all of the work we put into it is all done every single day. Like we put in the work to do this. It is work. There's no scenario where everybody says, you know, they think we should be doing this for honor and creed, and I guess at the same time be working 3 jobs. And guess what? I've done that. The first 2 years I did this, before I had any other people dependent on me, I was doing 2 jobs and I was working 13, 14-hour days. I still work. That's what people don't realize. I'm still working. I don't work 2 jobs anymore, but I still do side jobs. I still do construction. I still do photography on the side. I'm working just like you guys. I'm going paycheck to paycheck. So when you see this stuff, and nobody likes ads. I don't like ads. I don't like ads in YouTube videos. But I did have to realize the cold reality of what this world is. And if you're not seeing ads there, you're seeing ads here, you're seeing ads there. But most of those ads are going towards some big corporation that's making millions of dollars. We're not. We're not rich. And we're not treated the same as other niches. If I was doing photography review or reviewing electronics or something, it's a whole different story. It's not the same when you're going up against huge conglomerates that essentially know they're losing all of their people to the internet, so they're working directly with platforms to basically keep everybody else down. You're talking about cable news and cable things that have held the narrative for forever. And now, all of a sudden, they're threatened. Over the last 5 years, it's gotten progressively worse for any creator like myself and anybody independent, just as it is in the music world. If you see in the music world, if you're an independent artist, like take Tom McDonald, for instance, he put in all that work. I think whether you like or hate his music, you can see the work they did. They put out every single CD. They sent it out to every single person. They were doing huge garage fulls of CDs and sending them all out. I'm very happy for that guy, and I hope it looks like he's got a nice house for himself, and he says he's made millions now, and I hope he does, because I saw the work he put into it. I also see and actually realize how much work he puts into the videos, him and Nova, the music videos, and the creative ways that they took almost nothing and made them into the videos that they made. If you do videography, then you totally understand what I'm coming from, where they took like pillows and LED lights and made it into a professional looking music video. They went and got old TVs from a dump and made it into this dystopian nightmare. I mean, the stuff they do is really cool. But he's just an example of somebody who is now successful, has millions of dollars, and I hope he does. We're not on that level. And I would love if I could treat my family to a retirement or to health insurance or to any of that. But my point is people want to call on those people and they hope that they don't make money. For some reason, there's this thing where they don't want anybody discussing their truth or anything to make money at all. I'm a human being too. I have a family. I have children. Why wouldn't you want me to? If I'm working 8 to 12 to 15 hours a day, why wouldn't I get paid? And if I can't get paid the traditional way, I would hope you guys would not only support the alternatives, but be rooting us on, and to hope that we would gain success and to go and to get millions of subscribers. If our intentions are pure, and time again over 5 years, other than the ads, the only other thing that they can say is that we've become more commercial. But I've also been doing this so long that I do read like a reporter or something like that. I'm not the best. I still make mistakes, but I also am human, and we run this. We have live things happen all the time that, you wouldn't see on CNN, because CNN has 40 people, or Fox News has 40 people that can fix the problem. We don't. It's myself and Dex. And then if there's a problem in chat, or if there's a problem with the affiliates or something else that we don't know about, we can't fix it. If there's a problem in chat and if you get muted because you didn't know the rule, and maybe you said, oh, this so-and-so creator is full of crap, I don't allow that, even if you're talking crap about a creator that's talked crap about me. And the reason why is because it's just a circle of hate that just continues and continues. There's no reason for it. And if you made a mistake, just reach out, and we can. I have reached out to anybody. If somebody has been banned, if they actually reach out and say, hey, I think this was a mistake, or just say, hey, I made a mistake, I did this, I have talked to them personally this whole 5 years. Doesn't matter how big or how small I was, I've always have. So if there's a mistake or something, just talk to me. I'm a human being. I will make sure I'm at least reasonable. So as far as like with stuff like this, pretty simple rules with the chat. Treat each other respectfully. And that's something I've stuck by. There's been all sorts of stuff said over the years, and I have been treated like crap. I've been treated nicely over the years. But I think that through time, the test of time, I've stayed pretty much the same. And I've treated people respectfully. I'm patient with people. I'm patient with callers. I'm patient. And that's something I put into my real life. I'm not perfect. I'm not an angel. I believe for a long time people thought I was the grandson image of an angel. I'm not. I'm a human being. I have my flaws, just like every one of you. I'm trying to scrape by. I'm trying to deal with $300 groceries for 2 bags of groceries. And so is everybody else. So we're all in the same boat. And we should realize that we need to be teaming up with each other. And there are actual forces trying to prevent that. There are physical forces. There are financial forces at play to make sure that we do not. And there are actual digital forces trying to prevent that. Anyone who goes against the grain gets attacked. It's a fact. And again, then there's people that fall into that whole cycle of poor me. I don't fall into the poor me. I'm getting attacked or I'm this or that, because if you think that way all the time, it's going to get to you. But I will say this: I've treated every other creator with respect. And have I gotten that back? No. I've gotten it back from a lot of people, and most of those people are on the friends list. If you treat me with respect, I will treat you with respect. I treat people like I like to be treated. If there's some sort of issue, you guys know my thoughts on kicking the cat. If there's things going on in your real life that make you come here and you're angry and you take it out on somebody in the chat, we've all had that moment where we've snapped at like somebody at a grocery store, and then right when we left, we felt bad. If you're me, I've had that moment where I've had an interaction with somebody and I've literally sat there for a second, felt bad, gone inside and apologized. And then you have that moment. Everybody's had that moment where you say sorry, and then that person says, well, sorry, I reacted too that way. And then it's like a pressure lifted from your stomach, that you literally have that moment of like, both of you knew you were being a total ass. And then it feels better. And some of my best friends to this day were people I absolutely hated. Absolutely had nothing in common with, or I thought I had these little things that I picked apart about them, and now they're my best friends. Because you make first impressions, you make judgments, you hear something about that person, you judge them wrongly. I mean, there's all sorts of things that can go wrong. You might not like the sound of their voice or the way they look or the way their hair is. There's just something you can't even put your thumb on you don't like about them. But I encourage you all to try to look past those things and realize when you really go inside your own house and close the door, everybody's dealing with the same stuff. Everybody's dealing with the same problems. Everybody has the same family issues. Everybody has the same family member is hurt or in the hospital or injured, or your dog just perished or something. We all have these things going on. So why are we enemies again? We all have the same blood running through us, no matter what color, race, or creed you are. So why are we focusing on each other instead of these corporations that are literally sopping up every piece of positivity out of us, and every cent that we make, taking a chunk out of, and we're mad at each other? It doesn't make sense. So that's my 10 cents. I don't normally do this, but if you're here at the end of the show, you're most likely hardcore Foogle fam. Not many people watch all the way through. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate my mods for dealing with all that. Sometimes most of the time it's not personal. If there's any kind of discrepancy there, they just mute. And unfortunately, like most adults don't like to be silenced. Adults don't like to be muted. They're like, I'm an adult, I can say what I want. They also say free speech this, free speech that. Inside this channel, it's like my home. If you came in my house and started swearing at me or swearing at one of my other guests, I would say, go outside. If they said free speech, I'd say, you can have free speech. Go out to the street corner and yell at my guest there. You can do whatever you want from the sidewalk. But if you come into my home, then I'm going to ask you not to put your shoes on the table, and I'm going to ask you not to swear at other people. That's how it is. Because everyone is prospective owners of their channels and their IPs and everything else. So you do come into somebody else's home. It's not a public square. It's somebody else's house. So just treat the house rules the same way. And all I ask is that we don't trash each other, even the people that are trashing us. It's a very simple rule. And then if people get muted, don't take it personal. half the 90% of the chat doesn't even see it, but I do get it. If I've been muted in other chats, and I didn't realize I got muted in a chat because I was off topic. And trust me, sometimes I would like to enforce hey, instead of everybody saying bacon or something, to actually be talking about the subject. But I've been in other chats where I talked about something totally unrelated and was just saying hi to somebody and all of a sudden I'm muted for 5 minutes. Yeah, it made me mad. I'm like, what? But their house rules was don't go off topic. Okay, so I get that. That's their house rules. I'll follow that. This isn't the place that I go to talk about other news stories or this or that. If we all start acting like that, like adults, and if we're big enough to be like, okay, maybe I did violate a rule here or I said this, that, and just come back in like a real person, everybody gets that because they've probably done it themselves. So I appreciate all of you guys, and I thank everybody that's been here for a very long time. Most of my mods have been here for years, and then a lot of the Foogle fam have been here for years. I'm not perfect, but I am me. So thank you guys for even giving me a chance and some of your time today. I appreciate it, and I really do. I've found more people that I genuinely love from this channel than I have in real life. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right, you guys, it is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shoutro. Or wait, it's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
Away from downtown. Everybody know now. Nuclear showdown. Everybody know now. What verse they on now? What's going down now?
Real quick before we start, Joshua Aaron Oler says today's date is 10/19/23. Reversed is 10/19 becomes 9/11. The sum of 2023 corresponds to the 7. No more AI-generated versions of JB. You are aware of the significance of today. Lincoln Kennedy, pray. I'm not. By the way, just the other day, somebody said I don't cover the what do they call it when numbers? And said, that's probably why this person, that channel isn't on their friends list. The only reason that Gematria channel is not on my friends list is because I haven't met them yet. But if they are nice and they're respectful, I would gladly put them on my friends list. I don't have problems with any of those channels. In fact, I think a lot of them are really smart people. So have a good night, guys. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out.
Everybody know now. Nuclear showdown. Everybody know now. What verse they on now? What's going down now? Stay away from downtown. Everybody know now. Nuclear showdown. Everybody know now. What verse they on now? What's going down now? Stay away from downtown.
Thank you, Antonio Naftali. I appreciate you. Thank you for your support. I believe it is a two-way tie. Actually, no. Joshua Aaron Oler. Thank you for being top supporter. Joshua Aaron Oler. How are we going to make a song out of Joshua Aaron Oler?
Now it's about to go sideways. Taiwan jets landing on them highways. Watch out now, it's about to go sideways. Taiwan jets landing on them highways. Watch out now, it's about to go sideways. Taiwan jets landing on them highways.
Hi. Joshua Aaron Oler. Everybody with the controller. I'll be on back on Lola. Ah, Lola. Joshua Aaron Oler. I'm at Mac on back on controller. I back now, we are stroller. Down the street now, you know I big back now, Pepper, Alaska. I do it back now all day, every day. Preparedness and the RA. A 55 and a Bible car triple. A 7 and a bit of critter. I caught for a hero. And then the donut factory with me. I went with a J of Israel. And the Jeff P. True and a big old lifeboat. I'm in back on the back on now, no. Jets landing on them highways. Watch out now, it's about to go sideways. I want jets landing on them highways. Watch out now, it's about to go sideways. Hey, hey, Joshua, up, dip, up, Joshua, I got hey with a Derek career. Everybody got KT cleans a lot and stealth mode. They are safer, girl, and the kiki great. From the bottom of my name, dim, no, dim, 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 no, dim, 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 no, dim, 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 no, dim, 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 no, dim, 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 no, dim, 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 no, dim, 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 no, 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 dim, dim,
Run, I said run, the man nacho sandwich.